biscuits.
Sir, I'm sorry. I couldn't stop her. She's forcing away here.
I am a strong, independent woman, and you need to give me a job. This list of blog posts will act as my resume.
Ma'am, we don't have any open positions.
Well, I don't see any other minorities working here.
Miss, you are very white.
I am 124th Cherokee. My native name is Howling Cooter.
You mean coyote?
That's what I said.
I don't see how
I am
that...
more than qualified for this position.
Do you know anything about science?
Oh, I see. Because I'm a woman, I don't know anything about science.
No, I'm sorry, that's not what I... What field of science do you specialize in?
Women's issues.
What about chemistry or biology?
Wow, I can't even. I'm in my second semester of gender studies, which if you would check your goddamn privilege, you would see is a social science.
I don't think you're suited for this job.
Tumblr warned me about misogynistic practice like this. I've only been here all of 2 minutes, and I can already see the glass ceiling.
Well, we're in an aquarium.
So this is what we're trying to address here, the issue of pseudo-feminism, though it's a bit exaggerated in this video. So we'll be discussing more about this in coming slides. So to begin with, pseudo-feminism. So before we dwell deep into pseudo-feminism, let's try to understand what feminism is. So that is how we are going to begin the presentation. Then talk about the different timelines like Akash mentioned. Then we'll talk about the differences between feminism and pseudo-feminism. Then the challenges, the effects of pseudo-feminism, and ultimately we'll talk about how to tackle it. So what is feminism? So traditionally men have enjoyed a lot of freedom, opportunities, benefits, economic growth, prosperity compared to women. So women have always struggled and already struggled in the past and are continuing to do so. So what feminism is that concept that bridges this gap. So firstly, it talks about equality. It tries to bridge the gap by bringing in equality between men and women, and by equality I mean politically, economically, socially, and other levels. Next is So the way in which you can achieve this feminism is through multiple protest campaigns. So like a lot of people mentioned in the previous slides, previous members. So they spoke about Me Too campaign. And one thing I'd like to address is there's a lot of campaigns in US regarding black feminism and radical feminism. Black feminism is something that Beyonce also was endorsing a lot. So these are some of the campaigns that have happened in US. So waves of feminism. So the first wave started in 1830s and ended in 1960s. It was more related to basic issues like right to owning a property, right to vote. So that was what feminism stood for in the initial stages, and later it translated into something bigger, something involving society, something involving family. So it spoke about domestic violence, marital rape, etc. Those were the issues that the feminism was catering to. And as we went along into 1980s and to the current 2000 era, it evolved more around bringing in power with men. That is what a lot of people spoke about in the previous previous batch, like patriarchy. So traditionally, as I mentioned before, men have been facing a lot of men have a lot of advantages careerly in earning high income. So those were some of the issues that feminism was addressing to. And finally, in the current scenario, the present age, digitally. So social media is helping drive a lot of these issues and helping women in gaining equality. And it has also helped in addressing issues like sexual harassment and rape. So moving on, we'll be talking about each of these characters in detail. Shashank will talk about each of these.
So, am I audible? So going through the history, we can actually point down some characteristics which actually were the that's how the waves of feminism started. it started with actually countries where the independence reached first, like USA or Europe, where so we are basically talking about white women. When they realized that there are the several bans that they were imposed upon, that they cannot come out of their houses and socialize and mingle with people. So these were the things that realized that okay, this is it is what making us suppressed, and we need to remove that. The suffrage that they faced in their home, maybe it's like a domestic violence or anything, they actually spoke against it, and the property rights that women cannot actually hold any property. These were the things that they identified. This would be probably the longest wave that we actually see in feminism, and when we reached the a very recent wave, second wave that we call it, the identification as a gender strength. Many LGBT communities that they were not allowed to come out, and they were seen as a guy, people who actually committed sin if they have their preferential in that lifestyle. So they came out and realized that okay, this is our identity and we have to stand by it. The social liberties that women were not allowed for to have a job, they were actually visualized as homemakers, and they have to stick in home only and make food for the bread earners of the family. That is a patriarchal society. And the civil liberties that they could actually vote or something. So these were the things that they were identified in the second wave. And the third wave that is actually going on right now, the new generation, that is self-expression. It has the power of self-expression. The intersectionality that is prevalent in the society, that women are marginalized by some social strata. These are actually removed gradually, and more inclusion is happening. And the fourth wave that we are actually moving towards is the digitally driven society that is powered by youth especially. So they are in the news, they are in the social media, many ad campaigns, any awareness things are actually circulated all around, and this is making people more connected and aware about this. And it is on all fronts, and that effort, the being a feminist is actually taken in a very proud manner. So for further, I think I can invite Kundan for taking it, this presentation.
Hello everyone. So after understanding what is feminism and pseudo-feminism, we'll try to look at who is a pseudo-feminist. We want you to understand and recognize the pseudo-feminist, so that after going out of this auditorium, you'll be confident enough to identify a person who is a pseudo-feminist. So these are some characteristics. A pseudo-feminist claims himself to be a feminist. According to stats, 80% of the people who claim themselves to be a feminist are actually a pseudo-feminist. And believe me, if they are branded a feminazi, he or she will definitely be a pseudo-feminist. Then they'll definitely try to blatter about how terrible men are. You must have heard about taglines like "men are dogs." These are the things brought by pseudo-feminists. They just don't understand the concept of feminism, and they just try to look after the instances of abusing men even when the instance is not there. So I think people are clear about the characteristics. If not, let's have a look at the thumb rules. They are full of themselves. They believe in misandry. They hate other women, and they are hypocrites. If these thumb rules are found in a man, he can be safely considered to be a pseudo-feminist. For next slide, I'll be inviting Natasha.
Today, am I audible? Today we're living in the 21st century, but the age-old debate about who's superior, the men or the women, is still going on. But why do we have to think about superiority here, is the question. Everybody says that gender equality is the main solution to these kind of problems, but I believe that gender equity is what we should look forward to. Gender equity is about meeting the necessities or the needs of both the genders with respect to how much ever is needed, and bringing both of them to the same platform wherein both get equal opportunities to work forward. So the signs of pseudo-feminism is Like, I'll start by giving examples. The first is, you must have heard that people passing comments on how the wife earns more than the man of the house. So this is like a very strange judgment about men, because it's completely all right if a man does not earn as much as the woman of the house does. So this is one of the examples. The second one is, there are people talking about men, and even if a guy is trying to be sweet to you or helpful to you, we easily pass a judgment saying, oh my god, he's such a creep, and you know, all men are dogs, and men cheat upon women very easily, but nobody thinks about the other side of the story. Being a girl myself, it's very difficult for me to take a stand like this, but there have been instances in the past where I have experienced such things, and based on that, I believe that we should always hear on both the sides of the stories and then take a judgment. And the third example would be, men usually look after women who would want to, you know, who are good at homemaking and stuff, but the pseudo-feminists talk about how women should also equally contribute. However, they are very judgmental about this fact as well. There's a very thin line between feminism and pseudo-feminism, and if we ponder a little bit, we'll realize the difference. Feminism talks about both men and women deserve equal respect, but pseudo-feminism talks about women getting more respect, which is not very fair on the part of the men, obviously. And feminism demands fighting for the equal rights of men and women, whereas pseudo-feminism believes in blaming the men for all the problems that the women are facing today. And recognizing that genders, like men as well as women, are facing sexual harassment. But usually we only take into consideration the cases wherein the women is assaulted. So this is where we need to change our mentality and also believe and understand how difficult it is for the men to survive in a world where people are only judging them, judging each and every man based on few instances created by few other men. And feminism is about being open to the ideas of everyone's views, and not only about being exclusive. And feminism is about breaking down the stereotypes and talking about how women can come up further. And pseudo-feminism tries to overdo things and spoils the whole concept of feminism. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Prashant, and I'll be talking about the Indian context of feminism. My friends have talked about the global context. I am talking about the Indian context. So we can divide the Indian phase into three phases. There was a first phase which started from 1850 to 1950. The main premises was abolition of Sati Pratha. We were having mavericks like Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Jyotibai Phule. They actually did a lot about Sati Pratha, about widow remarriage, about abolition of child marriage, as well as reduced illiteracy. Then came the second phase, that is 1915 to 1947. We have seen that age as the age of determining our independence. So at that time, there were localized women associations being formed. We were having Sarojini Naidu as a maverick who actually thought about educational issues as well as working women classes. There was also Mahatma Gandhi as well, who actually thought about bringing in equality of women. He has talked about it in his book of My Experiment with the Truth. After that, the third phase came, which is post-1947. This is exactly about unequal wages. Now we see that almost 50 to 60% of women are now have a literacy, and they are actually working in the working class. But there was also an inequality in the wages. So people are trying to tackle it through movements as well. And then there is a sexual divide of labor. We have a stereotype that this job is woman and this job is man. So people are trying to abolish this by their own efforts. Then there is a relegation of women to unskilled spheres. We are seeing Kalpana Chawla going to this space. We are seeing other like Sunita Williams going to this space. So these people are actually breaking the stereotypes that women can also go to this space and do the unexpected. After that, now the current dispensation is also trying to improve. They are trying to bring in the women empowerment through Ujjwala Yojana, as well as there's a bill on triple talaq to give equality to women. As also the current dispensation is giving loans to the marginalized women who are basically not approachable by the banking system. They are providing loans by Mudra Yojana and trying to empower them to start their own ventures as well. Okay, so we are talking about the effects of feminism in the society right now. Now we are seeing a lot has changed. A lot has changed, and this is actually causing very much a dramatic shift in the society. Now we are seeing females, it's not a generalization, but yeah, we are seeing cases where females are putting up false allegation regarding men that they are being sexually harassed by men, and which later on turns out to be false. We have seen feminists getting lost, the originality of feminism getting lost, what exactly it was meant for and what exactly it is right now. We are seeing a kind of ferment or a kind of a radicalization in the thought process of women feminists who actually are making it something like this is not the right thing to do. This, we have to change it, but in their heart there's a inconsistency in their thoughts that okay, what I am doing is right, but it exactly is not right. Then the new trend is coming. I think everybody is maybe agreeing to it that as a man there is a stereotypical bias that okay, if he's a man then he's the culprit. We are without thinking about what exactly is his fault. We are just blame him for whatever reason which we think about. Also, seeing that the male society as a whole, we have got FIR is filed without even thinking about what exactly is the matter. I have seen there have been cases that people are the bride is always the bride files an FIR against the family that they are asking for dowry, but the fact is that they aren't. So these are kind of laws which actually are putting male to a back foot and creating a gender bias as well. So the last slide will be taught by.
So so we finally come to the conclusion slide. How do you tackle pseudo-feminism? And there can be broadly classified into the three systems: ecosystems, macro system, and micro system. In macro system, we can you have seen that we have actually put many slides about feminism. So that's where the problem is tackled. If you know about feminism, that is the best way to actually tackle pseudo-feminism. Spread awareness. If you know what exactly feminism is, if you talk to anybody or actually, I can take this as a matter also in a way that every nation in itself is facing a problem of this feminism issues and pseudo-feminism issues in every aspect. So there could be a lot of campaigns could be actually put up to spread the awareness that what is feminism and how we should stay away from pseudo-feminism, and the focus should be on amending gender bias laws, that not gender is not discriminated on the basis of pseudo-feminists. And some things we can expect out of our ecosystem is that again that creating ad campaigns, use social media, Facebook, YouTube to spread the message that if we find that this is the right message to promote feminism and actually talk about what not to do, how not to be a pseudo-feminist, I think we can do that. Create social groups. I think many men or women actually been part of this, that they have been harassed and trolled when they actually try to be correct on the front that what feminism, and they are brutally harassed and trolled. So we can create some social groups to discuss some problems, that how they face the prejudice and what are the problems they think are prevalent in the society.
Thank you.
So last micro.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, I'm Akib. So in one of the slides you mentioned that you made some claims about 80% whose feminists who say they are feminists are actually pseudo-feminists. So do you have any substantial proof that we can go by, or we are supposed to believe on your opinion, on your claim?
That's right. Yes. So, what is the source of your claim?
So actually the data I took from CNBC article.
Yeah, send him the link, because, and especially for all of you, if you make such claims, please, mention the source in a parenthesis. This is the source, so that your claims are credible ones, and not just a made up one. Okay. So, how many of you think that you are a feminist? That means you are a pseudo-feminist according to that, right? Okay. The question is, whether you are pseudo or you are real, that you have to really judge, and you can judge it yourself if you understand what feminism is. Right? Feminism is not to fit in. Often we say that just to fit in, like I suppose that. But what you do at home? Just look at your microsystem. Right? What you do at home, how do you, it's not, respecting women, in fact, you cannot demand also respect. You have to earn, and you also have to give that. How do you treat? How do you treat an individual? Forget about the gender. Any individual. If you really believe in equality, then you are a feminist. Truly believe in equality and equity, in fact, both come hand in hand, then you are a feminist. Otherwise, you are not. Because, if it is for power, you will be with the more powerful ones, even if that is a woman. There's a beautiful interview of, I forgot the name of this feminist scholar. It was in Satyameva Jayate, and Amir Khan interviewed her. And she says, you see, sometimes we are submissive to the powerful ones, and the moment, there are lesser, the weaker section, we become the oppressor. Right? So, what happens, we would be very submissive in front of the powerful ones, let's say our bosses, or our, whoever is the head of the family. We don't say anything. The moment we get the chance, we become the oppressor. So if you truly believe in equality, or equal opportunity and all those things, it doesn't matter whether you are dealing with a 5-year-old or 50-year-old. Age would not determine. Gender would not determine your behavior. All those things, you must learn, whether you have these problems. This is not, before we actually even take it to the macro and exosystem, first microsystem, when you go back, when you talk to you need to actually teach sometimes I feel you need to teach the women more about feminism than men. The many, age-old traditions that are being followed, because both men and women are equally victim through these beliefs that, men are superior. It is not superiority or inferiority complex, it is about we are different, yet we need each other. It is not that, whether if I can cook, then I become equal, right? Or if you can fix your car, then, you are equal. No. It is about that each individual can contribute based on his or her capacity. Just because I can do something doesn't mean that other person has to do also the same thing. But suppose a man is cooking, the woman would have to take care of some other aspect what she is good at. It does not mean that if you are feminist only when you know cooking. But at the same time, you need to also break that myth that why cooking is always women's job. It is a life skill. Similarly, if together you give birth a baby, it is both parents' responsibility, not just women's. Right? You can breastfeed. That's not you and I are designed. But you can change the napkin and, wipe pads. That training has to come from the microsystem. Right? You can start that. And I know many of you still are not there. Right? You'd have to really work on that. Once you do that, you see that, you see, feminist, you become feminist not to help others. That actually then you truly don't believe feminism or to understand. Feminism is to help yourself. When you do it, I'm a feminist not because I want to help others. I have a motive there. I don't want to accompany my wife and daughter everywhere they have to go. That's a burden on me. I want them to be truly independent so that, I don't have to take extra burden to really protect them everywhere. And you and I cannot do that, right? If you understand that. Okay, we don't have much time, sir. Section D.